Hello, guys. It's Godswill once again, and welcome to this series again, which has to do with data types and typecasting in Java programming. It's data types and typecasting in Java programming. So we are going to focus on what data types are and what typecasting is in Java programming. And let's first of all look into what data types are. So what is a data type? A data type determines the type of values or data a variable can hold and the type of operation that can be performed on them. So in Java, data types are majorly grouped into two. The first one is what we call primitive data type, and the second one is what we call reference data type. Then this will now take us to each of these. The first one, which is the primitive data type, is made up of 8. There are 8 primitive data types supported by Java. And the first one, as you can see in the screen, is integer data type. And the integer data types, there are 4 major data types under integer data type. It means that they are the type of data type that can hold a whole number that is whole. And the first one there is bytes. Byte is made up of 8 bits of information. It has the capacity to store 8 bits of information. And we have short. Short has the capacity to store 16 bits of information. And we also have int, which has the capacity to store 32 bits of information. We have long, which has the capacity to store 64 bits of information. Then the next, primitive data type after that is float. And float has the capacity to store 32 bits of information. And after that, we have the next one, which is double. Double has the capacity to store 64 bits of information. So guys, note, float and double, they store information that, a kind of numbers that has, decimal places in it. Unlike integers store only whole numbers. Then this will now take us to the next thing on the screen, which has to do with character. Characters, store a single value of information and is up to 16 bits of information rather. It stores 16 bits of information. That's the size of a character, and Boolean is just 1 bit of information. So hello guys, this will take us to the next type of data type, which is also known as the reference data types. There are 3 reference data types which are supported by Java or in Java. And the first one has to do with array. It's a full course on its own we are going to handle in Java. And the next one is, class. It's also a full course that we are handling in Java. And another one is what? An interface. We are going to look into interface also in this Java programming, that we are doing. This will now take us to what we call typecasting, typecasting in Java. And what is typecasting? Typecasting or type conversion has to do with changing the entity of one data type into another data type. And there are 2 types of typecasting in Java. First one is what we call implicit casting, and the second one is what we call explicit casting. So what is an implicit casting in Java? An implicit casting, as we can see in the screen, has to do with assigning a data of a particular data type to the variable of another data type. One thing to note in this type of casting is that the destination data type should be larger than the source data type. For example, when we are moving the contents of int into float, float is bigger than int. You understand? And one thing that you should know here is that there won't be loss of value here because you are moving from the smaller data type into the bigger data type. So guys, I think it's time for me to go and show us sample in our program. I'm using Apache NetBeans IDE. You can use other IDE. And if you want to know more about NetBeans IDE, you can always go and watch my YouTube channel, that has to do with the structure of Java and IDE explanation. And in this place right now, we are going to go straight to this program. And whenever you watch my YouTube channel, you should always subscribe, you should like and share at any particular point in time. Let's go and create a class in this place. By right-clicking on the project, we go to Java class, and I will give this one name to be implicit, casting sample. Remember, it is implicit casting sample that we are dealing with in this place. And after you create the class name, you have to now click on finish for it to load. So this is our class. In this place, we now have to type public static void main, but guys, you can always type the shortcut PSVM and tab for it to appear. Let's say in this place, we are creating a program that will display an employee salary, and I will now make use of int salary to be equal to, let's say, something like $2,000 per month. Are you with me now? Then I would like to now create another, or to declare another variable in float, which is salary 1 or salary 2. Let's just put 2. You understand? Then to be equal to salary, meaning that we are assigning the value that is in our integer data type, variable employee, down to employee 2, which is the float data type. Remember, we are dealing with implicit casting in this place. So let's display our value by type SOUT, which stands for system.out.println, and employee, I can say employee salary, okay, salary to be equal to. So we have to concatenate our variable in the float, as we can see on the screen, which has to do like with salary 2. You understand? Then let's now add concatenate another string which has to do with the type of salary it is. Remember, I made mention of dollars. I hope guys you can still remember. Then we are done with this. We can save it and right click and click on run. Then it's going to run as it is. So guys, as you can see the screen, this is now the answer, and the answer is in floats, and there was no loss of value. As you can see, we still have $2,000. That's why it is called an implicit cast, which is moving from the what? From the lower data type, you understand, from the variable of a lower data type down to the variable of the higher data type. This will now take us back to our, our training on this, which has to do with the next one after implicit cast, which is explicit cast. So guys, what is explicit typecasting? This has to do with, converting a data type of a larger data type to the variable of a smaller data type. One thing to note in this type of casting is that the destination data type should be smaller than the source data type. For example, when you are moving the contents of what is in floats down to ints, you should always know that there might be a loss of value. So in this place, there will always be a loss of value because float is higher than what? Integer, and integer holds a whole number. So guys, without talking too much, we can also go and run an example on our NetBeans by creating a class and giving that class name, just like as we did in the former one. We can give it name to be explicit, explicit casting sample. You understand? So explicit casting sample. And once you are done, you should always click on finish for the class to load. Then as you can see that the class has already loaded, and by our shortcut psvm tab, public static void main has appeared on the screen. So guys, let's make use of pi in this place to run this program, like float pi. Of course, float pi to be equal to 3.142. Remember, float, whenever you are writing float at the end of the day, put f at the back to show that it's a float value. Then we can have int pi 2. Okay, sorry guys, int pi 2 to be equal to, remember we are dealing with explicit casting, to be equal to, guys, to be equal to, in brackets we have int the value of our float pi, which is what, pi. Are you with me now? Then semicolon. Remember guys, this is how to do the explicit cast. You understand? Then here SOUT for us to print our value, and here we can have our pi value to be equal to, by concatenating our pi 2. You understand? Because we want to print the value of our int pi 2, so that we see the major difference between the two. It is done by now. We have saved. I can right click for us to run this value, to run this program to see the value. Rather, the value has appeared on the screen as you can see, and there is lots of value. 0.142 is no more there. Meaning that whenever we are converting from the higher data type to the lower data type, there will be lots of value. Especially when it has to do with the data type that has decimal places. So guys, this is all about explicit casting. And as we can see, we've already covered up the things that we need to cover up in this video. And you can always go to my YouTube channel to subscribe, to like, and to share. And thank you for watching this video. And we go into other things, on our trainings. Thanks.